वालेकुम अस्सलाम।
कैसे हैं?
मैं तो ठीक हूँ, आप बताएं। Alright. Article writing is another genre of directed writing. You will be having inserts, you will be having a passage from which you'll be writing an article. Now, this particular type of writing is a little different to formal letters. And you guys know why? Because letters are addressed to one particular person or maybe team of people for that matter, if you know your audience very well. All right. This is what a letter is. But in an article writing, you're not aware of your audiences most of the time. Or even if you know the group of audience you're writing to, you don't specifically know the type of people reading your article. Okay? So this is one of the major differences. And even whatever type of writing that you go for in a directed writing exam, there will always be difference of audiences. And your style of writing would change with respect to your audience as well. For instance, if speech is directly addressed to people that you know, if I'm addressing, let's say, all of you in it, I know the type of people sitting in my audience. What is that? For example, I know all of you are like um, aged from 15 to 18 maximum, maybe, right? I know the age group by just looking at you guys. So when you deliver a speech, you can sense your audience. You can know the type of people listening to you. When you write an article, you're not aware of who will be reading your article. Your audience is mostly anonymous. Like you know the chunk of people that may be reading your article. For example, if you're writing for a school magazine, you know that the students of that school, the teachers, or maybe parents would be reading your article. Which कौन से बच्चे पढ़ रहे होंगे you're not sure कि what majors would be listening would be reading your article or what type of parents or what type of teachers would be reading your articles. So you won't be aware of the very specific type of audience for that matter. Okay? And for a letter, if it's written to a specific person, and most of the cases it is, so you're the person you're writing the letter to. If it's a formal letter, you're aware of the person or maybe the department you're writing to, for example. So you'll know the type of audience very well. And if it's an informal letter, you personally always know the person you're writing the letter to. So this is the change or the variation in audience that you must be aware of while writing these different sides of writings. Yes. Sir, so let's say you're given a topic to write an article on, but you don't know who you're writing to, like the age group and if they're like the way they act and whatnot. How do you? So most of the times, the topics they really help you understand your audience as well. For example, if you're writing on a very tech-savvy topic about the latest fashion, the latest technology, mobile phones, cars, you know you're writing for young adults, maybe. If you're writing on TV shows, movies, you'll know your audience. What if you get to write on disabilities or on yeah, or on a very specific subject related topic, for instance, a letter on the mental health of young adults. So you'll know that your article would be read maybe by the young adults themselves or people belonging to the domain of psychology, maybe. Okay? If you're writing a letter about latest business trends or economics or finances, yeah, you know the type of people reading an article. So most of the times, the topics they really help you understand what your audience will be. And guys, trust me, your style of writing really changes when you know your audience. For example, I would be communicating with all of you in a very specific way as compared to my communication with some of my professors maybe in university or when I deliver my maybe if I'm presenting one of my projects to a client, so I'll be presenting my projects in a very different manner because that is when I'm selling my idea. But for you guys, the style of delivery would be very different because the mode of um, communication is different. Do you get this? Similarly, just think of yourselves if you're asked to maybe address your classmates, your style of addressing would be relatively different to if you think of yourselves addressing maybe a group of teachers, okay, the type of vocabulary you use, the type of communication style you have, it would differ. So this is the sense of audience that we need to have once we get into these writings. Okay? So we're specifically focusing on article writing now. Again, for article writing, the audience is mostly not very clear. So you will have to use your senses to judge the audience, to understand who you're writing to. For example, you look at the topic and see who would be most interested to read an article on that particular topic, right? And most of the times they do tell you you're writing for a school magazine. This is the most favorite topic of the examiner. You'll be writing for a school magazine, most probably. Or they'll tell you that you're writing for a young adult magazine. So whatever, or maybe for an online website. Now, an online website is accessible by everyone. You cannot put boundaries on that. So again, you'll have to cater to a wider audience. And trust me, it's easier to cater to a specific audience as it is to maybe writing to किसी को भी आप कोई भी पढ़ सकता है. That's more difficult. So articles में it's very important to make a guess first of all. Don't just blindly start writing an article. Just try to understand who's going to be reading your article first. Let's look at the very specific details of an article writing. Again, this planning phase is an outline that I always tell you to write. Nobody's going to check that, but it's very important when it comes to writing because you're picking the points from the passage again and using those points, translating those points into your article. You'd really need a framework to sort of convert your points in a way you'd be wanting to write, maybe. Because the details of the passage will not be directly written in the article. You'll have to very specifically frame your ideas. Just be तरीके से लिखना है. That's the most important aspect of directed writing in general. All right. Then audience, we've had a lot of discussion on the audience. Okay. Articles could be two-sided or one-sided. That's completely up to you. If you have very strong writing skills, so go for a double-sided article where you present arguments and counter arguments, the way we used to practice in argumentative writing. So it's always a good idea if you think your writing skills are of that level and you can handle such level of expertise when it comes to a mix and match of arguments, you should always go for these two sides, writing in favor and writing in against. Sir, अपने इसके अंदर basically argumentative लिखने हैं. An article is not exactly an argumentative, but it is better. So again, I'm saying you can just cater to one-sided perspective as well, and you can go for a two-sided perspective as well. So that's completely up to you. But whatever arguments you make, your evaluation has to be there. We've had a great discussion on evaluation in like I think परसों. So अगर आप नहीं थे तो just you ask me, I'll send you those notes. Evaluation is a very important skill which we'll be using again and again in all of these writings. This is the reason why we had that lecture. So please just recall analysis, evaluation of the differences, because we'll be using those things over here. So your points, they need to be analyzed and they need to be evaluated as well. So ये elements of the argumentative already आ जाते हैं इससे, ठीक है? Now, when you're talking about a one-sided argument is basically just listing down or explaining or analyzing. Because you see, you cannot have evaluation in a one-sided argument. Because the reader would already know that this is what you agree on, right? They would already know your agreement, they'd already know your evaluation or judgment. So you will not need any specific evaluation in a one-sided argument. ठीक है? A one-sided argument is a series of information, or again, information ka source would be given. It will be a passage that you will have, so you just have to pick up information, frame it according to your style of writing, and present it as to what the instructions demand from you guys. Um, I'll just give you guys an example. If let's say you're asked to write an article on on the effects of COVID-19, the pandemic. So if you think that the pandemic had all negative effects, and you cannot think of any positive effect of a pandemic, so all of the consequences will be one-sided, and you'll be writing down all the negatives of the pandemic, all the negative consequences. For example, it forced us to stay inside our houses. It made a lot of people suffer from mental health issues. It and then a lot of and then physical health at the top. People suffered business financial losses because of the pandemic. So now all of these points, if you're writing an article, you'll be writing these points in a lot of detail, And your analysis would be very important. For example, if we talk about the businesses wala point, that how people were forced to shut down their businesses, the offices were closed down, people shifted to this distance learning environments. So how would your analysis be for this point? Your analysis would be consequence of that, the economic losses, the losses different countries had to face, right? A decline in global economy. That is your analysis. Because analysis is your consequence. Okay? It is the impact that you write about a particular reason. Similarly, then if you transition to the next point, for instance, how people suffer through a lot of mental health issues. So your discussion over here, because just writing this thesis statement will not be enough. You will have to write details. Guys, Azan and Hassan, please, throw it. Your discussion with respect to this point will be about why are you claiming that people suffer through mental health issues? What exactly compel you to write about this point? Provide reasons, justify. Use a personal anecdote if it requires. You can, but not again. You remember the 3 points of argumentative facts, logic, logos, ethos, pathos. It cannot be purely emotional. It cannot be purely logical, purely fact based. It has to be a mix. So if you want to use personal anecdotes, the reason for using personal anecdotes would be to provoke an emotional response, and it cannot entirely be an emotional response. So just try to use a bit of emotions. Okay. So purpose ये सारा बताने का मकसद ये है कि this is how your discussion has to go about certain points, and then the analysis. Because if you talk about the mental health issues, so your analysis about mental health issues would be that alongside suffering through these physical health problems, people were challenged through these mental health troubles, and it affected their performance in schools, it affected their personal relationships, it affected their maybe people working in social environments suffered through financial losses again because they couldn't concentrate on work because there were so many things to look after during that period of time. So this is your analysis. ठीक है ये बहुत important है और ये this is all a one sided argument. जी रेहान आपका question था. Can we add like question or questions have to be rhetorical. Questions cannot be the type of question that you expect an answer for. Your questions need to be the type of questions. हाँ, more of a statement. Rhetorical वो होते हैं जिनका जवाब पता होता है. Very obvious answers where everyone has the same answer. But you can probably has the same. You cannot question others' opinion. सर मतलब general. आप इसे कर सकते हो. Yeah. And people are jealous. Um, no. You can maybe if you want to start your article with a question, you can say, sir, right? Oh, cannibalism is something mentally ill. Send me the question. Or you COVID-19 was a pandemic of its kind, wasn't it? Question. No. For you guys. देख जो मूवी बनाई थी टॉयलेट से उसका लिंक ऐड कर देते थे इट स्टिंक्स हियर यूट्यूब के ऊपर अच्छा सही हो I made a short film back in my O levels ka time, which was like years ago. And I think it's still there on YouTube. Nice. पढ़ी गई नहीं सर वो आपका नंबर सेव किया था तो वो रिकमेंडेशन में आया पढ़ी भी नहीं है अभी तक पढ़ी नहीं है हो हाँ मेरा पूरी पीछे का न्यूज़ आया था उसके अच्छा अच्छा let's talk about it later हाँ आपका वाइटी है मेरा क्या हमारा let's talk about later अच्छा your mother actually double it 80 you need to start your articles by the introduction. Introduction is how you introduce the issue. It is better to give a very brief information on the topic in the beginning, when it comes to COVID-19, if you're writing about the adverse impacts of COVID-19, your introduction has to be a general information of what the pandemic was, when it started, some facts that you know, and how it was for the entire world, maybe. And then from the next paragraph, you write about the very specific question that has been asked. Guys, trust me, this is the easiest form of writing I'm explaining over here. And then, if you want to write a double-sided argument, so the question would be, if the question is the COVID-19 was an extremely challenging time for all of us. Now you can disagree with this as well. For example, if the first part of your article is about, yes, it was an extremely challenging time. Why? Because all of these reasons. But at the same time, there were some positive outcomes as well. And then you can maybe start writing the positives of that. And this will be the strongest style of writing if you do that. But this is not compulsion. But trust me, कि अगर आपको लगता है your writing style is इस लेवल का, तो please go for this. What is argumentative? हाँ, जाहिर है आर्ग्यूमेंट करोगे आप, डिसएग्री करोगे, आप फिर आप उसको जस्टिफाई करोगे, तो just tell about how well you can write.
जैसे सर मैंने एक बात डबल साइडेड का तो समझ आ गई, सिंगल साइडेड है उसके अंदर जो वो लिमिटेशंस है उससे किस तरह फाइट करेंगे?
किससे?
लिमिटेशंस है जिस तरह वो इस तरह का टॉपिक दे देते हैं जिसके बाद उन्हें लिख ही नहीं सकते, फिर हम क्या करेंगे? स्टक हो जाऊंगा।
आपके पास पैसेज गिवन है, सारे प्रश्न ले लीजिए
सर आप वहां से दोबारा छापो, इससे फायदा नहीं है।
हाँ हाँ, this is a direct writing, guys. You will have a passage for this information. ये कॉपी मैं आपको समझाने के बता रहा हूँ, just pick up this point, ये कर लो, but those points need to come from a passage.
Okay.
And then when you write the main body of the article, you will have to conclude by giving your final opinion. This final opinion will be yours. It will be your judgment if you're writing a double-sided article, because obviously you have lettered both sides of the argument. So it will be important for you to tell me which side you personally think was right, because you have given a mix of arguments. But if it was maybe a one-sided article, you will not, obviously, you won't have to evaluate it at the end. You will simply be sort of summing up the entire information. Is that you were on your phone throughout the class time and you still are. क्या करूं मैं इसका? फोन दे आऊं जाके ऑफिस में? यहाँ रखो फोन. The next time I see this one in your hands, मैं ऑफिस में दे आऊंगा, फिर आपका मामला होगा और उनका मामला होगा. This was the entire format of an article. You guys have like two options to write, whether to go for a one-sided article or a double-sided article. That's completely up to you guys.
So you could sum it up. How do you sum it up?
But just saying that this is what I mean, the information that you had written previously, you just say, okay, this is what I believe in, and provide sort of a justification in just 2 3 lines. Conclude, Kandan.
So do we mention this is our opinion or
You're not allowed to give your opinions anywhere in this article except for the last paragraph of a double-sided article,
that's conclusion?
because this is
What-
directed writing.
What if one-sided?
If it's one-sided, then again, you'll be just summing up all of the points. So you'll sort of give it a conclusion. You'll just maybe supporting the thesis statement. You one side का मतलब ये ना जो statement है, question statement है, you're agreeing with that. So you'll just say, okay, all of these reasons for why I agree with this statement. Simple. Conclude कर दिया. Directed writing is not about your opinions, guys, until you're asked to do so. For example, the letter writing topic that we did previously, you were asked to provide your opinion in just the last paragraph, where you had to discuss whether the introduction of skill-based courses was a good idea or not. Otherwise, nobody was asking your opinion throughout the letter. Okay? So this is the major difference between a directed and a creative writing. I have this.
फॉर एग्जांपल हम उसका डबल साइडेड लिखते हैं, हम स्टार्ट किस तरह करें उसकी
Interaction would be same whether you go for double-sided or one-sided. General information on the topic, anything that you know about that topic, and again you can pick up those things from the passage again, because the passage would be on the same topic in a different manner, of course. हो सकता है कोई letter हो passage में, लेकिन article, हाँ. तो again, all of the information on a topic would be coming from the passage, because you may not be aware of the topic at all. There's a chance that an idea discussed in the passage would maybe completely new to all of you. फिर क्या होगा? All of the information would be coming from the passage. And I think that is the best way of going about this question. सबसे अच्छा ये होता है कि पता ही ना टॉपिक के बारे में, फिर बंदा कंफ्यूज ही नहीं होता कि मैंने क्या सब तो पैसेज में गिवन है, वहीं से लिखोगे सब कुछ। जब जब पता बहुत होता है ना, फिर हम बहुत अपने वैसे लिख रहे होते हैं, फिर इस डायरेक्ट राइटिंग में मार्क्स आ रहे होते हैं। तो
फिर इससे वो प्लेजरिज्म वाला सीन होता है।
प्लेजरिज्म वाला सीन अब होता है आफ्टर चार्ज, बिल्कुल होता है।
मतलब नहीं इसके साथ ये तो पेपर के
यार आप लोग पेपर्स में वैसे कोई कर नहीं सकता प्लेजराइज वैसे तो,
क्योंकि सर नहीं आपके आर्टिकल क्योंकि
कॉपिंग इंफॉर्मेशन फ्रॉम इंटरनेट।
आप पेपर आप उसके डायरेक्ट ना
You
छापते
cannot plagiarize from any other source except for the article, and that is also plagiarism because we'll be rephrasing it. If you write exact same points, you will not be given marks. That is plagiarism.
ठीक है लेकिन हम रेफरेंस के लिए बोल सकते हैं दैट मैसेज
ऐसे से लिखना है तो correct है, वो बताइए आपने क्या करना है, mention कर सकते हैं। Start से लिखते हैं। आपको जब क्वेश्चन लिखा हुआ है पैसेज से करना है तो आप मेंशन करो, ना करो क्या फर्क। एग्जाम मतलब स्टार्ट से आप जरूर कर सकते हो कि I read it somewhere as, think of yourselves as writers who write an article, and then if you want to refer to that particular passage given in the question, you can say I read it somewhere and the writer was maybe arguing against this topic. Gee.
Sorry for interrupting. What is plagiarism?
Plagiarism is copying information from an external source. It could be an internet source or it could be a book passage. ChatGPT is also plagiarism. कहीं से भी कुछ लिखना। This case of plagiarism would be copying information from the passage. If you copy it down, that would be plagiarism. Exactly, a passage is there for you to understand the ideas, not to copy information.
So whatever points are going to be that cannot.
You'll have to use those points, but you'll have to pick up the idea and use them in your own words. One of the best ways to get away from plagiarism is to rephrase, to use your own words.
Thanks. That's okay.
It's okay. Answer.
It has to mean the same thing here.
गाइस ये देखो यहाँ पे पढ़िए, बहुत अच्छा आर्टिकल है, अभी लैपटॉप की बैटरी फारिग हो रही है, लेकिन मैं आपको
Like
बताता
you rephrase.
करना ये है कि
Sir, example rephrase करना है एक चीज को. In an article, it's about cats. The fat black cats on the map. You rephrase it as the cat that was fat and
I
black.
can say, and as it was discussed, it was implied that maybe cats like sleeping on.
So I cannot include the word black. No. Yes, it's
But-
not.
This is maybe an implication. Information quick and guys. You will have to put relevant points to the passage after having a thorough understanding of the question. Can I have thoda sa silence, guys? Good. These are some very important points. So some बच्चे पूछते रहते हैं how to pick up the information. Please look at this. Convert the passage, selected points into your own words. After that, you can start putting the points together in a cohesive manner in the form of an article. So let's look at this example. It'll help you understand how to pick up points. Now, for example, this is a text from the passage. Imagine ये information एक passage का paragraph है, and if this is given to you guys over here, criminals will make the argument that they watched hours of TV every day while growing up and they turned out fine. But content and access have changed. They can potentially see whatever they want, whenever they want, and can stumble on appropriate content accidentally, unlike those in previous generations. Now, this is something that's given in the passage. And now, for example, you have to write this in your own words. So how can you do that? अब ये इसकी rephrasing होगी ये सारी, okay? Parents nowadays argue that they used to watch TV for many hours each day when they were young and are doing well now. But the world has changed now and there are different contents on the internet and television available 24/7. Children could see whatever they desire at any place and time and could potentially stumble upon inappropriate content by mistake. Same idea. एक ही बात हो रही है, rephrase होके हो रही है. This is what I expect from you guys. Content वही होगा, information change नहीं करनी, rephrase कर देना.
Loves to do this one.
In most of our research papers, what we do is when we are out of ideas and there's nothing else to do than copy information on the internet, we add thesaurus.
This is what?
Thesaurus, word change, synonyms डालते जाओ. और वो वर्ड समझ जाते हैं, चीज वही होती है इंटरनेट की छापने की। तो दिस इज जस्ट व्हाट वी डू व्हेन बहुत लंबी रिसर्च असाइनमेंट हो और उसको प्लेजरिज्म से बचाना हो। ये आपकी आगे अभी तो खैर कोई नहीं, लेकिन
थैंक यू
असाइनमेंट्स यूनिवर्सिटी में रहती ना, आप प्लेजरिज्म चेक से चेक होती हैं पर थ्रू सॉफ्टवेयर्स। तो you get caught if you use even a line from the internet, ठीक है।
तो
तो
सबसे बात कैसे कुछ बनाई है किसी से जो बंदा है जो बना दे सके
ये बोला भी चाहिए बस बोला भी चाहिए कोई यूनिवर्सिटी बहुत बना रही है यूनिवर्सिटी
वो तो ऑब्वियस सी बात है बना क्या चाहते हैं बस क्या रेट चल रहा
जानने वाला
है
यार आजकल तो फाइवर पे बना रहे हैं लोग इतनी
सर क्या रेट चल रहा
फाइवर पे
है बड़ा
चेक बहुत चल रहा है।
ठीक है
अच्छा um
What?
so that was one example of how to rephrase information. If there's any question guys, please let me know right now.
सर मुझे मेरी स्ट्रगल वो टॉपिक जैसे थे जिसको हम लिखे सिर्फ डबल साइडेड बट स्टैंड नो टॉपिक इस तरह का देते कि इसको पूरी डबल लिखी डबल साइडेड एग्जांपल जिस तरह आर्गुमेंटेटिव के सवाल दैट
Was the better choice.
आइए इस तरह
Yes, but नहीं हाँ
आगे उसे तो डबल साइडेड
नहीं हाँ it is a better choice. Yes. So that's a contract. Guys, this is major difference between an argumentative writing and an article writing, that you have the freedom to write one-sided arguments in an article as well. But in an argumentative writing, which is a part of the creative writing assignment, you're not allowed to write one-sided writing. Clear? इसमें आप लिख सकते हो one-sided अगर आप लिखना चाहते हो तो. In an article, you can write a one-sided argument. For example, if this is the topic to write an article, are e-vehicles a better choice? Or electric vehicles the new way of life? This is अब either you can agree ये statement है, question statement है।
So wait,
और statement से आप agree भी कर सकते हो, disagree कर सकते हो, question को yes or no कर सकते हो।
so certainly give us your statements for the first one you can write pros and cons, and the second one you can just write your opinion.
No,
Yeah.
if you disagree with this, now if you disagree with this, the electric vehicles are not the new way of life. So you can just write the information in your disagreement and that's it. Or you could write your disagreement and then you can write some points in favor of electric vehicle. You go to फायदे होंगे ना, so you can write those as well, and then you can end up your argument. But again, that information has to come from the passage. अगर passage में कोई positive point नहीं given, हो सकता है like passage ऐसा ही हो. What if you have a passage that is all against electric vehicles? Where will you bring your positive points from? Then you will have to go for a one-sided article. But if a passage argues against electric vehicles and in favor, so you will have to, I mean, again, you will have a choice then, but it's better that you go for a two-sided article. Again, I'm saying if a passage is a double-sided passage and it has points in favor or against of one particular topic, the best way to get good marks again, अगर तो सिर्फ पास होना है तो फिर तो one side लिख दो. In order to secure good bands in this particular question is to go for a two-sided article. ये मैं आपको बता सकता था, इसमें मैं किसी को ये तो नहीं कहूंगा यार ये लिख लो. Like the most I can do as a teacher is tell you guys कि ये तरीका है नंबर लेने का, कर लेना अगर करते हैं. ठीक है? I would want most of you to go for a two-sided article. Because obviously I've seen students scoring high when they write two-sided articles. The examiners you'll have again, क्योंकि अगर let's say 100 students appearing, 70 would be writing on a one-sided article. So you'll have a lot of competition in that as well. So even just you need to focus on this as well now. Okay, the thing that you're writing, who are you competing against? What's the pool of applicants over there?
So do they give extra words?
You won't get extra marks, you get higher marks in style of writing. Because it's very much appreciated if you disagree with the examiner.
Say that sir, if everyone else is doing one-sided and you're
The examiners do appreciate that. And
If they give
if you choose to write a two-sided article and it's appropriate as per the content and style, you will get marks. And the examiners would be lenient as well in that case. Because I, as someone who checks your exams, or the exam students would be lenient and would want to read a student's article who goes to write for two-sided in a class of maybe 20. मैं कहूँगा यार इसे two-sided लिखा है, इसका पढ़ो सही क्या लिखा है, पर अच्छा लिखा है तो उसको ज्यादा मार्क्स दे दूंगा उस टाइम पे। देखो 20 ने एक काम किया, इसने एक और काम किया है।
एग्जाम
इस नियत से ना जाना, इम्प्रेस करने की नियत से एग्जामिनर को रह जाते हैं बहुत लोग, इम्प्रेस करने की नियत लेकर आते हैं, फिर मुझे अच्छा अंग्रेजी अच्छी लिखी, वो ऐसे ऐसे लफ्ज दिखाते हैं, मतलब खुद ही नहीं पता होता। तो खुदा के लिए इंप्रेशन नहीं झाड़ना, एग्जामिनर वो आपको अप्रिशिएट करते हैं अगर आपकी आपने चीज सही लिखी हो। मैं बार बार कहता हूँ सही लिखना मकसद है, अच्छी अच्छा लिखना मकसद नहीं है। इंग्लिश सही आनी चाहिए, वो हाई फाई आनी नहीं चाहिए, ठीक है।
अगर आपको मैथ्स में अच्छा सीखना है
तो फिर तो करो, फिर तो वाई नॉट, फिर तो शो ऑफ करो। That is just 2 minutes. I'm just ending the lecture. We will be going over this entire article in tomorrow's class.
So regular next
And I will be sharing the link as well. It's better if you guys give it a read. Because an article writing is the most common topic in directed writing. So we must be prepared for it. We have a test tomorrow on letter writing, and this is the lecture for Monday now. All of you are supposed to show up exact on time at 8:30 for the test. Eight seconds. Uh,